Hey everybody, I'm Matt, and we are here today to talk about the new Cervelo full suspension bike, the ZFS-5. Why is Cervelo even making mountain bikes? What's going on? Cervelo is known for some of the best and fastest road bikes ever to grace us. They've been on top of podiums. Why are they now making a foray into dirt? Well, it turns out if you've been paying attention to modern cycling, modern racing, you have a lot more crossover athletes. You've got Mathieu van der Poel, Tom Pidcock, Wout van Aert. You've got cyclocross pro racers racing in the Pro Tour. You've got road racers racing on the mountain bike. And Jumbo-Visma, Cervelo's team, wanted in on the action. So they needed a bike. And Cervelo, the core of Cervelo and what they're all about is to make their riders faster. That's what they've applied to their road bikes forever. And they felt that they could make riders faster by making a better mountain bike. So they launched recently the ZHT, the hardtail. But as you know, if you watch any professional top-level cross-country racing, courses have gotten very technical. So really the bike they ultimately needed was the ZFS-5. Before you make the joke, we're gonna make the joke. You might think this is a Blur Velo. Cervelo, Santa Cruz, both owned by Pon. Cervelo made a full suspension bike. It looks similar at first glance to the Santa Cruz Blur, but no, this is not a Blur Velo, and we're gonna tell you why. Insert meme here. So what is this bike and how is it not a Blur? They did at Cervelo reach out to their cousins at Santa Cruz for one specific piece of information, and that's the pivot placement. Santa Cruz had already figured out the best place to put pivots for a lightweight, short travel, flex stay bike. So the pivot placements are borrowed from the Blur. But beyond that, the entire bike is Cervelo's creation. So the tube shapes are different. The frame is lighter, the carbon layup is unique, and the geometry is different. So other than the pivot placement, the entire bike is specific to Cervelo and its need to make their cross-country racers faster. So who is this bike for? There are two versions of this bike. There's the 100mm full, proper race bike, and then there's the 120 down country, more capable, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be focusing our inventory on the 120 level because that is more appropriate for the most riders. So this bike appeals to anybody from the hardcore racer on one end to somebody that wants a lightweight full suspension bike that can handle long rides, is light to get up climbs, goes fast under power, but still has enough capability to get down most of the moderately technical single track that you might come across. So let's first get into the geometry of the new ZFS-5. Geometry is really important, especially in a bike like this, because it determines two things. It determines how you sit on the bike, how is your weight distributed, how are you able to put power into the pedals, and then also, how does the front of the bike handle, how does it change directions, how does it roll over stuff? So how do you control and steer the bike in technical situations, but then also, how do you generate power? And the cool thing about this bike is it gives you traditional sort of power-inducing seating position. It's got a 75-degree seat angle, sits you nice and over the pedals. It's got a pretty long reach for a cross-country bike. It's almost 460 in a large, so you have a little bit longer stem on there. So that gets you in a pretty good position to get over the pedals and generate power. But then it's got a 66.6-degree head angle, which is on the slacker end for bikes in this category. And again, that, even though you're leaning forward to put in power, that keeps that front wheel out in front of you. It gives you more confidence and more stability when you get into the more technical or steeper terrain. So it's a perfect balance of being able to go fast under power and then also go fast downhill at speed and more technical steep stuff. So let's put that geometry into the context of where cross-country bikes have been. Many years ago, cross-country bikes had a head angle, 68, 69, even 70 degrees. That gives you real precise steering at slow speeds, but at any kind of high speed, super twitchy. When you'd roll over something, you had the feeling of you were going over the bars, especially with the crazy long stems of the old days and shorter top tubes. But from that 68, 69, 70 degrees to be down into the 66, 66 and a half range where we are now, we're only a degree or two away from where your typical 150 trail bike is. So the cool thing is you get pretty close to that capability and confidence when you are going downhill and there's things to roll over, drops, or you're picking your technical line, but you still get all of the speed, agility, and acceleration of a lightweight cross-country bike. So let's talk about the suspension. So why flex stays? Flex stay means there's no pivot backed by the rear dropout. So when you remove that, there's no hardware, it's reduced weight, and it's a lot simpler. And you can also manufacture and lay up the carbon in such a way to deliver the right amount of flex just where you want. So Cervelo specifically wanted a very low anti-squat, which means there's less pedal kickback. The bike squats less under acceleration, so your pedaling delivers more power to the wheel and moving you forward. So better traction, better acceleration. This bike, being a cross-country bike, is definitely geared more towards pedaling efficiency with a lot of support, and that's all tuned and designed specifically into the stays of this bike. Let's get into some more specific features. One of the cool things about this bike is it has internal cable routing. It has the ability to handle a dropper post. It can handle 2.4 tires, which makes riding these bikes in more technical situations that much more fun. It has the wonderful threaded bottom bracket that we all love as that percolates onto more bikes. And the last really cool thing, which might seem simple, is there is room in there for 2 water bottles, which is great obviously for long rides or racing situations where feeding might be an issue. Being able to get 2 water bottles on the bike is pretty cool. So thank you for that, Cervelo. So let's talk models and spec. For the 120 bike, there are 3 levels, starting at $5,250, and that's going to give you the GX Eagle Mechanical. It does not come with a dropper, which gives you the choice, keeps the price and the weight down, and gives you the choice to add one later. But then you go up to $6,500 with the GX Axis. This is all new transmission from SRAM, and then the top of the line in the 120 bike is $8,700, and it's an EXO Axis and great suspension and carbon wheels. Obviously, for all the details, if you want to get down on the spec and more specifics, check out mikesbikes.com or come into our shops and you can feel and see the bike for yourself. Thank you.